Okay, so this is our training. It's Friday at noon, and we start pretty promptly. And again, a lot of visitors today, so that's great. We're at 250 agents, and I was just leaving a video to some sponsors this morning that I remember when Truly Title believed in us, and Kevin and Ryan's company, Mortgage Link, was just my wife and I, started January 1st of last year. And the amount that I was asking them to contribute to our company, I know that they were like probably in shock, but I knew that we were going to have good growth and that I wanted to have some events where it wasn't ever passed on to the agents. And with our fee structure, with it being just $100 a month, $225 a closing and $50 for leases, we absolutely rely on them. So I have people on GroupMe sometimes go, who's a lender? Well, I mean, these are our lenders. So I mean, you obviously, it's America, you pick who you want, but these people pay to keep our fees low, and that's why you're with me. And so Kevin and Ryan are with the Mortgage Link, and Kevin is a vet. Ryan is a young millennial. So a lot of y'all, we probably have, aren't you a millennial? I don't know. Are you too young to be that?
I think you might be in
Gen
Z, maybe.
I don't know. I'm 24, so.
Strong. Well, everybody in here is about that age. So,
Yeah.
so the whole goal is to work with lenders that are most like you, just like buyers work with people that are most like you. And so get a feel for who's comfortable. But I know that Kevin and Ryan are here like every Friday. And to me, that shows that they have a commitment to, help your clients hey, have a seat, come on in. So anyway, thank y'all. So I appreciate it. And they're going to be around maybe after training. I'll be here until the last person leaves. And this training, we do it every Friday. We always do it remote. We do it in person. And then as soon as it's over and it logs on my phone, what I do is I put it on GroupMe and on YouTube. And today's training, I thought what we would do is really talk about what is going to be your freest moneymaker in the history of mankind. And that is a friggin' open house. And a lot of people think, well, I mean, I checked this morning, we have 75 listings in our company. I remember when we had 12. So, I mean, that shows the growth of the company. There's a number of ways to find an open house. One of the ways to find is you simply put on GroupMe. Hey, this is Aaron. I'm thinking about doing an open house this weekend. Does anybody have an open house that I can do? Here's my cell phone. And I like everybody to put their cell phone on GroupMe at the end of their statements because we have 450 people on there. I only have 250 agents, so I have a lot of visitors. I mean, I have people that have already joined other brokerage firms. They just like to be on it to get free stuff. And I mean, life's too short to figure out who it is and to take them all. I don't care. Like, I don't use me. I don't care. That's what makes you happy and successful. But that's a great way to do it. Hey, this is Andres. I'd love to do an open house this weekend. Does anybody have one? Here's my phone number. Boom. Well, I mean, don't text me and say nobody's responded because it's America. And so then what you do is you go, damn, I'm not gonna get out of real estate because of a passive event. I'm gonna now try to find one on my own. So here's a couple ways that we can do it. And I'm sharing my screen and it's recorded. So I'm gonna go to MLS. This is MLS. And I always like to start right here and say matrix.netrus.net because that is our MLS. That's the website that I've saved on my phone. If you watch GroupMe the last 3 days, I've recorded my phone as training with voice and told you how to load it on your phone because I never use this laptop. I'm always on my phone. I love it. I can do everything on that phone except, things that you can't do on a phone. So matrix.netrus.net, for those that don't know how to load it on a phone, you go to a browser, you type it in, and then once it comes up on an iPhone, there's a little square with an arrow coming out. And you click on it and it'll scroll down and you pick add to home screen. And when you add to home screen, you just name it MLS and then it's forever on your phone. So MLS, when you log in, you're going to have to put your your license number always starts with a 0, and then you'll have your own password that is yours. Once you log in, and I'm going to try to tell you what happens every screen before it actually comes up, there's 14 boxes that pop up. And when the 14 boxes pop up, you're going to look for the box in the far left corner. So that's 14 boxes and the far left corner, that is our MLS. It's called Matrix. You simply click on it and most people should have this same screen. And this screen is how I've cleaned up MLSs when y'all join with you side by side with me. I go in and kind of make it these 3 boxes, which I think are your money makers. On the far left, those are my clients that I've sent searches to that when they open the search, it tells me exactly what time that they did it. But I still think that's passive, because if I only log into MLS once a week, then you can see that today at 11:29, I'm not going to know for 7 days that they did that. So what I did is the day that you joined, I probably asked you for your phone provider. And then at some point I told you to text me a 4-digit code. That's because I'm logging in here, putting your phone number in, so that when somebody does do that, you get an immediate text. And now you are proactively saying, hey, Vivian, I noticed that you looked at 123 Easy Street. Did you want to look at it? And Vivian goes, oh yeah, that would be great. I was actually, I favorited it also. If she favorited it right there, there'd be a little heart and it would be pink. And if you clicked on the heart, it would give you the exact address. If she favorited 20 homes, you click on the heart, it'll give you all of them. And the crazy thing is when it gives you more than one, if you select them all, a little tab that says directions will come up. And if you click on that, it'll tell you the order that you probably could go in to show those, or you don't look stupid. Because I once did look stupid. I showed some homes over in Wiley, and I had 7 homes that I showed. 2 were here and 4 were here, and a fire department was right in the middle. I went back and forth like this about 12 times showing those houses, and they were from California, and they at the end, they're like, you think we could have just hit all those on the same side of town and then gone over there? And of course, I felt like an idiot, and I'm pretty witty. So I was like, well, that's because there was certain times that they allowed. And that's why I had to go back and forth to kill time. Like, oh, okay. So you do need to kind of do that. All right. So we're talking about open houses. So we already know we've exhausted the group me by putting on group me. Like, do you have an open house? Here's my cell phone, and nobody replies. Now on your screen, you'll have these same 3. And right here, it says my listings. And if you go to my office active listings, you can see there's 72. I mean, literally a month ago, there was 40. So, I mean, there's some good activity going on in our company. If you click on that, you're going to get a drop down that shows you the first 100 of those, which means they'll all be on this one screen. You can see on the right that what they are and what they aren't and what their price range is. So obviously those first, 15 are leases, I'd probably stay away from. No reason to do an open house on a $15,000 property, much less anything really up to about, I wouldn't even do 130. Okay. So you're going to scroll down. And then once you get into a range that you think you might be happy with, let's just say it starts right around, let's just do 260. Well, you can go right here and go, that's unimproved. Not going to do it. Oh, looky there, single family. Well, right now, that little arrow, that little siren, that is an open house. So they already have one scheduled. And you can see that looks like this weekend, we got 2, 4, 6, 8 open houses. What you could do is you could also, even as a visitor, you can go and group me and go, hey, I'm visiting, and Doug said it's all right for me to shadow one of y'all. Do any of y'all have open houses this weekend that I can shadow? Here's my cell phone. Nobody replies. Could you then go into that and click on it and text that agent? And all you do is click on that right there. That's called an MLS number. And when you click on it, it gives you the most information that you can have on a listing. And so you scroll down to the bottom, and I have no idea whose home this is. And you can see it's Dustin Ray. He's like, hey, how you doing, Anna? He is like our superstar in our company. He's just a friggin' tenacious pit bull. You would text him, hey, Dustin, can I do an open house at 123 Easy Street? Or Dustin's already doing it. And you go, look at that right there. It says, right here, it says public May 8th. And today's the 5th. So what's that, Sunday or Saturday? Okay, so it's Mother's Day. That shows you that he's hungry because he's got kids and a wife. So
He's not married.
yeah, so no, he is. That's what I was saying. He is married. So, but knowing he's going to be there 1 to 4, I can tell you that it's my company. You could just show up. You don't even have to ask him. You could show up, and when you walk in, go, hey, Doug told me I might be able to hang out, and just maybe you pour into me a little, and use that word, just pour into me a little. What's your story, man? How did you? Doug really talks highly of you. And I talk highly of everybody in here, but Dustin is he's just built a little different. And he calls me 100 times a day, and I'm never condescending to him, because the more I can get him, the more he can help y'all. And the whole goal is that all ships are raised by the tide. And Dave Wilson over here, he's friggin' pit bull as well. And I know he's a giver. And anytime you see him doing anything, all you got to do is say, hey, Dave, can I shadow an open house? And he'll friggin' meet you and talk about doing an open house. But that's how you do it. So that's one way to shadow. But again, the way to actually see if it's an open house that you want to do is going to be that single line. And all you do is you go down to where you feel comfortable of the price range. And maybe you even check out the city, like right there, Inspiration. Okay. That's in Wiley, St. Paul. That's a really good area. And I know whose house this is because I just helped them when they were out there. You can see that there's no open house scheduled. So that could be one that you could ask on. And when you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that it's also Dustin Ray's. And he didn't have an open house there. So, I mean, just like that, you could go, hey, any way I can do an open house at Inspiration? You're listing this Saturday, 12 to 4. Okay, that's how you do it. Now, let's say that you strike out on both of those. And so now you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to find an open house? Well, I always like to tell people to go back to the dashboard because I like to train from the dashboard. And that's how you get back to that screen that I cleaned up for everybody is you just go My Matrix Dashboard. So now we know we've exhausted GroupMe. We know we've clicked on that. Nobody's answered. So now we hover over the search tab. And this tab is where you do searches for everything. Move wherever you want. Over and there's chairs there. There's food over here also. Y'all get up at your leisure to get that. This is where you're going to do searches for residential homes, for multifamily that's income, land, commercial, and residential leases. So you're going to hover over residential and you can go either detailed or quick. Okay. It doesn't matter. I've cleaned them both up. So you click detailed. And the screen's going to open. That's going to be your buyer search. And that means that over here on the left, Michael, that you might have this marked on yours because I doubt Caldwell Banker cleaned it up for you. That's your default. But what I do is I go into each search, I uncheck mark them. I go over to this rotary. I hit save as a default. And now every time that you open up this, it's only going to be the active homes. And I mean, the worst thing is when a buyer says they want to look at a home that's AC, AK, or AO. And that's what that means. AC is active contingent. AK means that kick out. They have to sell their property to buy. And then active option means just what we've learned. They have a right to terminate. Those are houses you don't want to show. So that's why we're only searching actives. So I'm going to ask Kay what his address is, where he lives. 150 what? 1508. And what's the street?
Wagner Drive.
What?
Wagner Drive.
Spell it.
WAGNER.
Wagner.
2 G's.
N1NER.
My point is it in Denton?
No, you can ER.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make a point that, let me just do it differently. I live at 8005 Palmetto Circle. Watch 8005. As you start to type, you just stop and it'll find it. That was my point. Once you find it, you click it. Right here, it says drop down. You don't even have to pick that. You can pick your own miles. I'm going to start with 4. Right now, 4 miles from my house, there's 93 homes active. Then I go over here and go, I'd absolutely like to look this price range up, 300-7. Notice the 3 zeros are check marked. That means I'm searching 300,000 to 700. There's 40. Then I go down here to year built and I want to do open house for houses that are newer instead of older. So I'm going to go 2010 and a plus sign. And it went to 0. That shows you the market. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go 02 and hit a plus sign. And there's 3. Okay. So obviously you want more, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit results. And I know that these are 4 miles out. And look, there's already 2 open house scheduled. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to call one right now to see if I can do an open house and see if they'll pick up the phone for training. So you'll be able to see what you really have to do. Like there's no real, so I can see right there. I usually would text, but I'm going to call Carol. I have no idea if she's going to tell me to jump naked, but we'll see. So I'm going to call her, put her on speaker and act like we're doing an open house this weekend. And she's with JPARS. She might be really nice or the biggest biatch ever.
Hello, this is Carol.
Hey, Carol, my name's Doug Smith. I'm with DHS Realty. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, I was curious. Do your brokerage firm have any issue with me trying to do an open house on one of your listings that's just around the block from where I live?
I don't know. I don't think they would.
Okay.
The brokerage wouldn't.
Okay. Well,
Which one are you talking about?
Well, 3457 Nation Drive. I live about a block away. It's And I'm actually the broker of DHS Realty. I've been licensed for about 30 years. And I was just going to see if that'll be available anytime really in the next 30 days to do an open house at.
Well, you know what? I have it under contract now.
Oh, nice. Well, that's all right. Well,
So,
congratulations.
We don't, but you know what? It's nice to meet you because I live in that neighborhood too.
Oh, small world.
Yeah. How long have you been in that neighborhood?
Well, I'm around the corner. I'm in Frisco Schools, Plano School District. I'm in Crystal Creek at Hedgecoats in Ohio, but you're 4 miles from me.
Oh, see, yeah.
Now, do y'all have a
All in
policy?
that same neighborhood.
I got you, small world. Now, do y'all have a policy about open houses with different brokers, or y'all always open to it? Because we are as well. If you ever have agents that want to do open houses on ours.
Yeah. No, we don't. We can get whoever we want.
Well, I appreciate it. We have a good weekend.
Okay, thank
Be-
you.
be safe.
Bye-bye.
Was that hard? Was that one person? Was that one call? Do you know how many agents I have in my company that tell me they can't find open house? I'm just saying that I can only do so much as a broker. Caldwell Banker can only do so much as a broker. Monument can only do so much as a broker. But at the end of the day, it's going to fall on our individuality to say, I'm just going to do this. If she told me to jump naked, what would I do next? I'd friggin' do a wider search because 3 of them already have open houses being done. That's JPAR. That's a huge firm. A huge firm. That what?
What benefit coming from hosting an open house?
Here's what we're gonna do. So let's say that she said, okay. Well, the next thing that I would tell her to do is, okay, well, I'd like to do it. Tomorrow's too early. I want to set it up a week out. So I go, okay, I'd like to do it next Saturday, 12 to 4. Can you put it in the MLS on your end and advertise it? And she goes, absolutely. So then I can tell her how to share the link to me where I can post it on my social media, and I'm going to pound it for the next 5 days. So here's the benefit of an open house. No matter who the broker is, you're trying to get business for you. So that open house sign, I bought 9 of them today. They're $3.93 at Home Depot. You can take them if you want. That's about as cheap as you want to get because it rains, people steal them. They don't have to have any. They don't have to have any brokerage name on them or anything.
People
And-
steal them all the time.
All the time.
It's crazy.
And that's why you get the cheapest ones. And you don't have to have a broker name on an open house. And you get there a little early. So let me just go forward with this training. So you know that this is the home that you want to do. Let's just say she said yes. And you know that she is going to okay it. So now what I want to do is I want to do a search for properties around that home and make appointments for them for the same time I'm at the open house, even though I'm not going to show them possibly. But the goal is that if somebody walks in and I can say, hey, I don't know if you like this area, but I made appointments for all the homes in the subdivision and we could go look at them real quick if you wanted. And if they said, oh my God, that would be great because we don't have a realtor. Then if I had another person like Andres there with me, he could keep the house open and I could go show those other 3 homes. Because the longer I'm showing those homes, the more I'm in front of them, trying to get them to know me, like me, and trust me. Okay. If I had 25 million people come in this house, am I giving those contact information to this agent? No. All I'm doing is go, we have 25 million people come in. I would expect an offer because I got 11 million buyers out of it. And I'm showing them other homes. They didn't like yours, but I think there were a few that did, and they might be in touch with you. They said they had other agents. Because the ones that didn't have an agent, I'm going to scoop them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make appointments for this property. So knowing the address is 3457 Nation Drive, all I'm going to do, remember that address, 3457. I'm going to go detailed search. And I'm going to go the same thing I just did to 3457 Nations. And I'm going to stop there and see if it pulls it up. There it is. I'm going to do a search a mile. And there's 14 homes. There's 14 homes a mile at home. I'm not going to make appointments for all those, but I could because you know what some of those are, those appointment requirements are 24-hour notice. So if I did have somebody that walked in and wanted to look at the home and I was like, oh yeah, hold on, let me make an appointment. I couldn't do it until tomorrow. So I'm going to make appointments for all those homes the day before. And I'm going to do it through CSS, which is a free company that makes appointments for probably 99% of those. I'm going to set the appointment 1:30 to probably 2:30 or 1:30 to 3:30. and the open house is 12 to 4. And that gives me about an hour and a half window that if somebody came in, I say, hey, come back about 1 o'clock and I'll be happy to show you these other homes. Or hang out and talk to me. I'll talk to you about real estate all day because I could talk forever about real estate. And the more I give them, the more they're going to feel like I'm somebody that they want to entrust with the largest purchase of their life. So again, now I need to figure out what I'm going to do after I have got an open house, which I think we've accomplished that goal on how to get it, how to advertise it, make appointments on other properties while we're there. And then we need to go to what our intra-office website is. And everybody should have, if they're licensed with us, have a back agent, which is the second email when I onboard you. I have this as a website on my phone. I don't use the app. And this will be the screen that everybody has when it opens up. And it's our sponsors. And then it has some little things we take notes and do that. What I'm looking for is at the very top, because we're a remote company, we don't have a physical office. I mean, this title company has 18 and they let us use all their title companies whenever we want, except on Saturday and Sundays. So you really do have an office and you have free Wi-Fi and you have a printer and a secretary that'll do anything for you. But because of that, we have no splits or no caps in our company. So I'm going to go to office. This is our office. And I'm going to go to documents, which is the next screen. And when I go to documents, I'm going to have a list of all the forms that I need under quick resources. And when I click on that, that's got every logo in our company that y'all can use, or you can use your own because I don't micromanage how you market yourself. Right down here, you can see that it's got a referral form, and that's for you to get a referral. Like Chitty, he just called me and needs a referral form, and I told him how to find it. But right here, it says open house sign-in sheet. And when you click on it, you can print these and you can have them at the house to where a buyer can put their first name, last name, and their email. And so the way I would do it, I mean, you have to ultimately do an open house the way you want. And Dave does it differently than me. He's very successful with open houses. So he'd be a great guy to pick his brain and say, hey, let me buy you lunch one day. Can you just tell me how you do open houses or coffee? I mean, I don't even think he'd require you to do, to do that.
I'm not gonna stop.
What's up? Have a seat right over there or somewhere. Is your chair? Perfect. And I'll introduce everybody in a second because some of y'all, I don't know your names. But that just happens when I'm texting back and forth and forget people's names. So anyways, I'm going to print 2 or 3 of these. I'm going to go to the house and now I'm going to tell you what it would look like if we're doing an open house. So this is the door to the house and that's outside and here's inside. And this table, I'm either going to buy one at Home Depot with 3 legs or there'll be one in the house. I'm going to put that 3-legged table together right here. I'm going to put that friggin' sign-up sheet on it with a pen. And that's all. But in the kitchen, I'm gonna have a bunch of stuff like the graphics. I'm gonna have a little Homebuyer packet. I'm gonna show you in a second. But nobody gets what's in the kitchen until they get through that sign-in sheet. And so there's an easy way to do it that's kind of non-intrusive. And I don't know how Dave does it, but if I heard the door crack, I would look over and go, hey, I'm Doug Smith with DHS Realty. If you'll sign in right there, I'll grab you a graphic in the kitchen. And I start to walk away from them. And I just pause and I go back to them and I go, oh, and if you'll put your realtor down, I'll make sure that they're protected in case you like the house. And they look at me and say, I don't have a realtor. And that should be what Dale Hansen said went away from him when he retired from WFAA. He said that when the green light came on and it was time for him to talk sports, a spark didn't go up his ass anymore to where he was just like, this is my life. This is it. And when that doesn't happen, then it's time to go back to whatever else you were doing other than real estate. But when somebody says, I don't have a realtor, when you say it like that, that is a potential $18,000 person right there, because that's the average price range of homes in another 5 months is 600 grand. And if that doesn't get you jacked up, that you could sell one person a home and make 18 grand, and the average agent sells one every other month, which is 7 in a year, 7 times 18,000, my friend, you're sitting pretty and you're having every day to do whatever the hell you want and travel wherever you want and not be told to call me or come in or you can't do this or that. I mean, it's just like the greatest drug in the world. And I know I've tried them all. Okay. So you do that. Now, if that person said, I don't have a realtor, I would say, oh my gosh, today, everybody that signs in gets a $20 gift card to Starbucks, because I might have $100 worth of Starbucks cards at $20 each in the kitchen, but I sure as hell am not going to give it to somebody that says they have a realtor. And that's why I asked first. Oh, put your realtor down so I can protect them in case you have one. I don't want to take money from your realtor. Oh my God, his name is Brandon. He's in Hawaii. Oh my God, I'd love to be in Hawaii. Well, just look around. Any questions, let me know. But I'm not gonna, give him a gift card because he already has a relationship. Okay. So that's your sign-in sheet. There's an app also called Open House. It's an actual app you can put on your iPad. What do you use, Dave? What do you use to get people to sign in? Like a pen or?
Actually, I don't have.
See, Dave does things different. He was very, but he doesn't have to be sorry because all I'm doing is trying to provide a foundation, and then y'all have to fit into your
I'll put it
personality.
this way, I get a cell phone number and an email from every person that comes through there who doesn't have an agent. And there's a way that I do it, and it's important to get that information.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the key. The key is that however you want to do it, that you get the phone number. And then I don't know what he does, but again, what I would do is I'm going to try to find that one thing that you and I have in common. And so I might just say something like, oh my God, where are you from? And she goes, oh, I used to live in Japan. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like I just read about the atomic bomb and how when it went off, it never hit the ground. Like it detonated in the air. I never knew that. And she might say, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, yeah, I had some family there back, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like it was a tragedy. I mean, again, you're trying to pour rapport. Okay. If she's got a picture of a golden doodle, I'm going to tell her I have a golden doodle because I do. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, that's why you have to have a pretty good worldview. All right. And also Japan is a superpower, and I know that you have your husband's Japanese. And so if I said, oh my gosh, so you're from there or family I'm generally interested, and I have to make me more knowledgeable by listening to her. And I think at some point she would go, yeah, well, you know what, Doug, we are looking for a house, probably not like this. It sounds like I'm her person. And she's like, how would that work if we wanted to work with you? And I was like, well, this email right here, why don't I just log in right now and do a home search and send it to you? And again, do you have to have Wi-Fi in the house to do that? Could you do it on your phone with cell service? I do everything on mine. So that's the whole goal. So they're in the house, you walk around a little, don't get weirded out. I mean, I've had people like follow them, like they're almost like right behind their neck, like that's the bathroom, that's a dining room. And, and I know Dave doesn't do that either. I don't require people to sign anything, but this is what I have in the kitchen. I have about 20 of them. And this is my generic home buyer packet. It's so generic. It says tax guide. I can give it to anybody. And if you turn the page, it's got some logos. You turn the page, it's got a resume. You turn the page, it's got a bio. You turn the page, it's got 3 IBSs, me, my wife, and my sons. You turn 3 pages, it's got the buyer rep agreement. Pre-filled, it says your name goes here. Completely filled in. And the last page says either party can terminate with 1-day notice. So the more that buyer gets to know me and gets a comfort level, what I'm going to say is, hey, let's grab that packet real quick. Let me just show you a couple of things. I go, this is a little propaganda about me, blah, blah, blah. But let's go to the IBS. This is actually a document that's required in Texas that a buyer give an agent give a buyer. Have you ever seen this before? And I can tell you that they'll say what? No. Have you ever looked at a home? Oh yeah, we've been looking at homes with different agents. Well, you probably won't want to anymore because if they're not giving you this form, I mean, that's like that's like so superficial that they're breaking the laws of Texas. And I think you'd want to make sure that you have somebody really, following through with what's right and wrong. And this is actually kind of crazy, but when you work with a buyer, an agent, you actually sign a contract, and it actually gives them more of an obligation to represent you correctly than if you didn't sign it. And in Texas, I don't know how it is in other areas that you've been to, but in Texas, your realtor is paid by the seller, even though you get represented. And so I think it's really important that you make sure you have a really quality agent, even though you're not paying for them, but one that, knows what's right. This will have a begin and an end date for sure. I want you to take it so you can look it over, but just so you know that on the last page, I have either party can terminate with 1-day notice. And that means that this is a day-to-day document that I'm not going to work with you if you don't like me. And I doubt you'd want to work with me if you didn't like me. But sometimes when you have that date in there with no right to terminate, then you're kind of obligated to work with them. So look it over. Any questions, let me know. And if we look at houses again, I'll probably DocuSign it to you if you don't have any questions. Have you ever DocuSign? Oh, you have? It'd be pretty much like that. Is that pretty smooth? Again, is that going to happen for you guys right when you get licensed? No. But can you make a little bit of mistakes and learn from it? I mean, trust me, dude, I was cut the cord from my, somebody cut my cord also from my mom's womb. I mean, I didn't know real estate. I learned it. And the more times you do it, the more times you fail. And it's just the more you get more comfortable. And, you know, I've agents the last 5 days that have had some little minor mistakes. And, you know, the agent has said something to him like, I can't believe I'm doing work for 2 people. And I told him, I said, have that agent call me. And of course, when I said that, they said, oh, no, we're good. No, we'll still pay you. And I was like, oh, I know you're going to pay my agent because that's not part of your decision. That's in the MLS. And the day that you want to call and belittle somebody in my company, let me call you and belittle you a little and you'll see how it feels. And I said that once about a week ago. I go, does it sound like I'm an asshole? And the guy goes, yeah. I go, that's how you sounded to my agent. And so I just wanted you to know that that's what it feels like. And I mean, so again, I mean, let's have some respect for, and I mean, y'all get it. So anyway, so that's the open houses. What I would do is I would give her the packet and then I'm going to send her a video message. I'm just a big believer in it. I can't tell you how many people in this room alone have started sending me video messages, and they usually start it like this. Well, here goes. I've never done this before. And I mean, now Megan, Tabitha and Megan, I mean, you give them to Megan. I mean, Tabitha does a video message to me all the time, and she's almost laughing when she's about to do it, because I think in the back of her mind, she's like, this is what Doug wants. No, I don't. I just think that that's what your client's going to want. They're going to want to get to know you. And again, you didn't date somebody by text. You didn't. You met them and you started to glean their personality. And I just think that that's how it's going to work in the real world. So the follow-up would be getting them in an MLS search. The follow-up would be sending them your electronic business card. And, you know, we're big advocates of electronic business cards. And I don't know, do you use Popple or Haystack or any of those, Dave?
I also don't use those.
I use both.
Okay, well, then that's fine.
But I have a version, basically everything that you've ever taught me, I have at least a version of it
Yeah, right.
that I do.
Right.
Because what he tells you is freaking awesome.
No, but I mean, everybody fits it to their own personality is the goal. And so, but at some point you absolutely want to send them your business card. And I would prefer, thinking about how I would want to receive it, is that I click on your business card on my iPhone and it links to all your social media. It's got your Instagram, your Facebook. You could do a YouTube page. You could have a little Google. Hey, my name's Toby. I just want you to let know I used to be a bartender. And dude, I am super stoked about real estate because there are good bartenders and there are bad. And I tell you one thing, I never cheated nobody on shots and I gave them the top shit. And I'll give you the top shit or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, again, Toby's incredible. And I've got agents that are bartenders. I met Uber drivers. Girl cuts my hair is getting her license right now at the boardroom. And I've never even seen her. She's a mask on all the time. I was just talking to him. I was like, you need to get your license. She's like, oh my God, it was on my bucket list. I was like, go to Champions. And she went in the other day and I was teaching and she didn't knock on the door, but she told me the next day when I got my haircut, she's like, I did it. I paid for the first 2 classes. I'm like, you're going to be a superstar. And I was like, trust me, people that never went to college that are Uber drivers, bartenders, went to college. It just doesn't matter. It's all about your personality and being able to take rejection, because you're going to get a lot of it in real estate. And the younger you are, the more it's going to hit, because I got it when I was 22 and I just had to soldier on. And I just knew that it was a straight ass numbers game. That's all it is. It's just like dating. Wasn't dating a numbers game? Kinda. I mean, you know, you dated and you're like, all right, there's been 100 guys I've dated. All right, this is the best. All right, or girls or whatever, you know what I'm saying? All right, so anyways, I wanted y'all to see that. That's open houses. Those open house signs, you know, I think that it's a good idea to shadow, and everybody in our company allows you to shadow. As a matter of fact, you don't even really ever have to ask. You just say, hey, who's got an open house? Doug said, I could go in and shadow. I'm visiting. Boom, it'll happen. You know now how to find the open houses that are already scheduled, and you can go in and shadow those. If you're already licensed, you'll have MLS. And then you just follow up with the people. You know, I'd say like once every 3 or 4 days. Hey, Aaron, it's Doug. I'm just checking out on you. I might even send an email, and the subject line just says, just checking in. And it's like, hey, Aaron, met you at the open house the other day. Just checking in. I'm here for you. I want to be a real estate person. Hopefully you're following me on social media. It's all attached below my signature and my email. And maybe I even try to find her and follow her. And then she follows me back, because I know that you follow me, you know, I post a whole lot of real estate, because number one, I did it even when I was, when I was selling more. But I mean, I see people in here, and every time I see something, I try to share it, because it just multiplies it. And the whole goal is for everybody to have success. All right. So that's pretty much the open houses. The one thing I did want to cover is one thing that's a little unique about our company is I go on listings with agents if they ask. And it's kind of like Steve Jobs once said, before he died, he did some little podcasts. And when he was 14, he went in the yellow pages and he found Hewitt Packer. There are two people, they're two old men, but he called Mr. Packer out of the yellow pages. He was 14 and he was like, hey, my name's Steve Jobs. He's like, I'm a high school kid. I put together semiconductors and want to know if you have any spare parts I could borrow. And Mr. Packer said, come on up. And was so intrigued by Steve Jobs, I offered him a job that summer. And it's kind of like the start of Steve Jobs. And his end in this little podcast was, I found that most people just don't ask. And he goes, that's really what separates dreamers from doers. And I know that Dave friggin' leaves me messages all the time. And I love me some Dave. And they're funny because they're like this. I can only imagine what he's like when he's doing. He's like, hey, dude, did you see the Cowboys? Did you see how they look? Oh, by the way, hey, dude, how does an open house with da, 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 da. And I love it because I go right back, hey, this is what you do. And but I love that about Dave is that he is full of inquisition because at the end of the day, all he's doing is trying to set a foundation that one day he'll not have to call. But I'd hate for him to call me when I'm dead, and might as well call me while I'm alive. And so I've gone with probably a half a dozen agents in the last 15 months on a listing. Again, all they had to do was what? Ask. And it's just crazy because I say, yeah. And they're like, are you kidding me? So tomorrow I'm going an hour and a half away from Plano to something called Blooming Ranch or something. I don't even know the Blooming Grove. It's friggin' almost in Houston. And my wife was like, you're doing what? And I'm like, yes, I'll be home about 6 p.m. because I'm leaving at noon to get there at 2. And then I'm sure it'll be an hour. And then I'm going to probably get a Whataburger on the way home. So let me just show you what I did, because this is something that is a way to always try to find how to do a listing the easiest. And that is the first thing is just like when you work with a buyer, you have to answer the phone. And when somebody answered, they go, hey, I live at 701 West 4G. I was wondering if you could come tell me what my home is worth. That's when you reply back, you go, absolutely, when do you want to meet? And that's what Tanika said. And she goes, absolutely, when do you want to meet? And he goes, oh, how about Saturday at 11:30? And so she goes, boom, okay, give me your name, your phone number, your email, your address. She gave it to him. And she actually said, which is what I've told people, you know any idea of what kind of value you're thinking your home's worth? And he goes, I think about 150. And she goes, okay, I'll see you Saturday. She got off the phone. She was stressed out, called me. And I said, I tell you what, I'm going to do a listing presentation. You do a listing presentation. We'll meet a little early on Saturday. We'll compare. Worst case, we'll use mine. We won't use yours. I'll build you up. I'll talk as much as you want. It'll always be yours. No fees are involved. It's the $225 when it goes to closing. So the first thing I did is I have to get into the MLS. So I went to matrix.netrus.net. And I also hope that you can see how much I enjoy doing this. And I've been doing it a long time. And I pray that you'll have that same enjoyment. Like it's almost a challenge when another broker can say that you won't do that, really go with your agents on a listing. And that's just kind of the way I'm wired, is that I will prove people wrong until the day I die. So 701 4G. Well, number one, we already know what the left's for, and we now know what the right's for to find open houses. Now let's concentrate on this one right here. It's called search. It is probably the best thing in the MLS since beginning of time. If I was going to list my own house and I called you to list my home, it has sold since 2003. So all you have to do is know my street number. And all you need to know is the first letter of the street name, Fall. That's an F if you didn't know how to spell it. And all you have to do is hit search, and it's going to go back to 2003 and pull up any home with 8005 and an F in it. And then you scroll down and go, oh, there it is. And you go over here and click on the MLS number. And I'd argue that you print that because it has a lot of information that's really helpful. And then right above the picture, you can see that tab there. Look at that tab. That looks to me like the tax roll. And if I click on it, I pray to God, it'll say my name. And it does. And I'd print that. And those are the two first things that you need to do a listing. Now, unfortunately, in this property, it had no history. So what I did do first is back at the dashboard, I typed in 701 and I did go forge. And I hit search and nothing came up. So Now I need to hover over search and go to property record or public record. That's the tax roll. And when I click on it, it's going to give me a screen for me to try to locate this property. I want you to pay attention right here because it shows 5,000 searches because there's no criteria. All I did is went right here to house number. I typed in 701. Now the address is West 4G. So here's the first little neat thing about training. Don't worry about the West. Just put in 4G. And look at the 5,000. It went to 1. And when I click on it, guess what it is? That house. And then when I click on this property ID, I wanted to print it, so I did. So that's the first thing I need to do a listing is I got to get the tax roll. Number one, to verify that Thomas McNally's who I'm meeting Saturday. And then that is the legal description. I need it for the listing. Knowing that he already wants 150 for it, I'm going to go ahead and do a CMA just to see if there's anything close to that. So I'm now going to hover over the same tab and I'm going to go residential, detailed, or quick, which is for homes. And I know that when this opens, it's a search for buyers, but I'm doing a what? A CMA. And we know just from class alone that we go back how many months? 6. So when I hit pending sold, it defaults only 3 months. So I'm going to change that to 180 and I'm going to change this to 180. And then I've already done the subdivision search. It's too complicated. There's nothing there. So I'm going to go 3 miles. And then right here, I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. I'm going to go 701 West Forge, and I'm going to go EY, and there it is. See that? That's crazy. And then I select it. Now, the problem with this property, it's not a problem, but there's not a lot because I think it's going to be in the boonies, and it's 1.7 acres. So I've already done this, and nothing came up, okay? There's only 2, and that's now that's master down. There's only 2 in the whole, there's only 4 in the whole city. Oh, well, there's only 4 3 miles away. So let's go 10 miles. I like to go over here to acres and make sure that I'm comparing the right properties. And the acreage on this property is 1.5. So I'm going to go 1 and a plus sign just to see what is at least 1 acre. Okay, and I do know it's a 3-bedroom. And I do know there's at least 2 total baths. And you can see now we're down to 13. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to hit results. And when I hit results, I'm going to get a single list of all those up to 100. There's all 13. Right here at the bottom, I want that, but I can't click it right now. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to check all after I get out of that. I'm going to check all and watch that tab. It goes dark. I click on it, and this does all the work for me. It's going to do a CMA and do all the math. I won't have to do anything other than find out where the print button is and print it. So you can see that these price ranges are really weird because when we get down here, you're going to see, you know, there's one for 159, 675. And the fact that he said 150, I'm not even going to take this because I'm thinking that it might not be the best type of, you know, so we're already done at 150. Okay. So I'm done with MLS. Now I need to get ready for the listing. And so I'm going to go into the third website that is going to be what you're going to need to learn. The first one was Matrix, which is MLS. The second one was Our Back Agent, if you come with our firm. And the third one is Zip Forms. Now, Zip Forms is one of those things where it's one of the things I am kind of proudful about because I don't know many brokers that do this in a short amount of time that I do it. I basically do all your forms in 20 minutes to where you are set up for success if you just do a little bit of research on your own and go to my YouTube page and go to playlist and hit Zip Forms. And you just watch 3 videos on Zip Forms. You're going to be an expert. It'll say, hi, Doug, when you go to Texas Real Estate after you log in. It'll say, hi, Aaron. It'll say, hi, Brandon. You click on Zip Forms and the screen turns blue. And even Michael, who's with Caldwell Banker, told me the next button to hit because he's watching my videos and he's thinking about joining us. So Michael already said there's only one tab you hit here, and it's the new button, always. And when you hit it, 5 boxes pull up, and we only care about the first 3. That's a seller, that's a buyer, that's a lease. So this is a seller. So I'm going to click on it. and I'm going to name the file, and this guy's name is Thomas. That's good enough. It doesn't need to be capitalized or anything. That's just for me to know. I'm going to always select the dot here next to residential, no matter what, always. And then right here, it just says select a template. And for you guys, there'll only be 3 options: buyer, seller, lease. That's it. 3 options. And you will pick seller, which is a listing. When you pick that, all you do is scroll down a little more and hit save. When you do that, you're looking at a white summary square, which is about what you're going to see right there. And you go 2 documents over, like Kay just said, 2 tabs over and hit documents. And I got all your forms already pre-filled. So we never even have to open the IBS. It's already done. That's what I printed. I didn't even open it. It's already done. I'm going to go to residential listing agreement and open it. And I'm going to already fill this in. I've already done it, but I'm going to tell you that right here, all I would do is go Thomas McNally. I'd go down here to the legal description, and there is no lot and block. So I'm going to go down here, and I am going to type in the city, which is Bloomingdale. That's why I like all caps. It just makes it easy, but you do it however you want. The county, and then right here, I would type in the legal description. I'm going to do this, but I would have put the legal description in, which I've already done. I've already printed this. So how many paragraphs have I filled in? 2. I go to the next page. I already have filled that there's a HOA. There's not. So I have to uncheck mark that physically and check mark there's not one. I leave the price blank because we could be talking about it when I go meet him. I don't want to have 150 if he's decided on 160. So I leave the price blank, but that's just a personal decision because we might be talking about it more. He might go, oh, my neighbor did this, oh, I did this upgrade. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, what are you thinking still? I know I told you 150 and you put it there, but is that what you think now? And I'm like, oh no, I left it blank because it's still up to you. Let's try 170 then, or 160. And so I leave that blank, but I do click this blank and put Saturday morning. And then I usually go about 4 months out. There's no rhyme or reason. I go 3 months. How many do you go, Dave?
I usually do 3 months.
Okay, perfect. And then the rest of this is pre-filled. I know it's crazy, but as I scroll down, I'm not touching anything. And some of y'all know these terms. I've already covered this in some of the classes. Intermediary, it's already authorized. There's showing time. There's intermediary. I filled in 3 paragraphs. The rest of this is done. And then all I got to do is print it. And then I hit the back button because I printed this. It's 10 pages. Only got one more document I need. And that's this puppy, the seller's disclosure. And I print it. And it's already it's blank. So you don't even touch it. You print it and you're done. And then when you leave, you make sure that you get to that house in plenty of time. I'm going to be there before she does. I know it because that's just the way I am. I'll text her and say, hey, I'm down the street at a park or something, and let me know when you get here. I'll pull up in front of the house about 10 till. I'll tell her to pull up behind me. She'll get my passenger seat. I'll say, what did you bring? I'll look at it. I'll say, this is what I did. We did identical. Let's do it. She might go, oh my God, my heart's pumping. Will you do all the talking? And I'll go, yeah. But what you're going to find is after about 5 minutes in the house, I'm just talking to the guy like he's my best friend. And I go, again, here's the deal. And this will kind of end the training. But when I knock on the door and he answers, just knock on, I'm going to knock on the door. Oh, hey, Ryan. Hey, I'm Doug Smith with DHS Realty. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, good.
Come on in.
Hey, what a beautiful drive up. How long have you been here?
Couple years.
Oh, that's crazy. Golly, what? God, it's nice. Well, what's going on? Where are you headed? I just got the call, so I don't, what, are you staying here or are you moving around?
Moving around.
Oh, is this your dog? Oh my God, what's his name? How you doing, buddy?
Jack.
Oh my God. Man. You see how I'm doing it though? It's really not rocket science. And then after we bullshit for a second, I'm just gonna go like this. Well, show me around. Let's see what we got. How long does that take? 10 minutes? And then at the end, you just go, what? Can we grab a seat somewhere in the kitchen? I'll show you what I got. I'll give you Saturday back to you. And that's it. You sit down. Dave does it probably something similar. Everybody's different. But at the end of the day, are you trying to camp out with a effing tent and eat their whole Saturday? Or are you trying to get in, do the surgery, tie that up, leave?
Box on the door, sign in the yard. Baby.
That's it. When I'm there, I'm going to sit down at the table and I'm going to do something like this. Well, here's the deal. I just going to go over this. I'm going to leave everything with you. No pressure today. I mean, I am ready. If you wanted to list the house, I have my sign and key box in the front door. And I know Brandon, my virtual tour person's already come out and got pictures out there in my email. So if you decide you want to lock and load, I'll be ready. But again, it's on your time. It's just a tax roll. I pull it up to make sure that, again, that you own the home. And I notice here that your taxes are 1537. Do you pay those every November or do you pay those in your payment? Okay, so let me just explain kind of how taxes are done in case you're not aware. So basically you have an imaginary savings account with, let's see, we're in May, about 5 months of that amount prorated. So you have about, what, that's 1,500. So that's about $800. No, that's like $100. It's like $150 a month. You have about 150 times 5 months in an imaginary savings account with your name on it. You're going to get that back, but it'll be like 5 weeks after closing. So you're going to be debited from January 1st to the end of May, that amount per day, and it'll be taken out of your proceeds. But you will get it back like 8 weeks later. And that's the only reason I like this tax roll is kind of ask you, how you pay your taxes. So this will be for you to keep. This is just a disclosure in Texas. It's required that an agent give to you the first time they meet you face to face. And it really just says the 3 ways that I can represent you. So let me just explain it real quick. If I put a sign in the yard, it'll have my name on it. And as I'm driving away, if somebody calls me and wants me to circle back to show your home, you'll always be my client. But it could be that they like me also. And if they do, they could become my client. Now, if that's the case, it'd be me representing a buyer and you. And I'm about to tell you my commissions are about 6%. That's what I charge. I'd reduce that 6 to 4 because I'd be the only agent. You'd probably love it because you'd net 2% more. So you usually never have an issue with it. Usually the issue's with the buyer because most buyers are pretty sophisticated and they know that they can get me to pay their agent and they'll get fully represented. So if it comes across, I'll let you know, but really that's it. It's going to be that way, or probably the way to go down is it'll be a completely different broker that brings a buyer. And in that scenario, if we listed your house at $150, you'd pay $4,500 to the agent bringing the buyer, which is 3%. And then you'd pay me $4,500. Now, are you moving somewhere? I forgot. Did you tell me that you're moving to an area and buying equal greater value of this house? Oh, you are? Well, then I'll probably just reduce it from 6 to 5. And that means I'll take 2 and give 3 to the agent that brings the buyer. And then of course I reduce it from 5 to 4 if I was the only agent. She's like, oh my God, you're like a dream. Like, what? Are you able to do that? Like, don't you have to get approval from somebody? No, I've aligned myself with a broker that pretty much lets me be as much of an entrepreneur as I can. So I want all your business. I mean, I won't deny, like, I want your family, your friends. I don't care where you move. I can help you. I have a directory of the top 1% of the agents throughout the United States. And I'd be happy to refer you to make sure you're in good hands. Sounds good. All right. What else you got, Doug? Well, this is just an agreement between you and I that basically is a listing agreement. In here, it's going to show you, and I would walk through and show her the 6% as a default, the 5 if I was an agent with her on the next home, 4 if I was the only agent. I have the either party could terminate in here. I talked to her a little bit about safety because the day I put a sign in the yard is the day that all the cons go, oh my God, I could act like a realtor and buy a little name tag off of Amazon, knock on the door and see if she'll answer it. Rob her, take all her drugs, take jewelry, money, because people are crazy and they do it. And that's why I would tell her that as soon as I put that electronic key box on the door, what, Dave? When I put that electronic key box on the door, don't let anybody in unless it's somebody popping that door with that key box. Because the moment they pop that key box, I'm going to get an email or a phone. It's going to go off saying somebody entered the house. And I always tell a seller, you could be like my wife. She believes in the good in everybody. And fortunately for her, she married somebody that believes in most people are evil. And so, and usually they'll laugh and I'm like, I ain't joking. Because Ted Bundy, I lived in Gainesville when he murdered a bunch of women at University of Florida. And when he knocked on the door, they even had peepholes. And when they look through, they go, oh, he can't hurt a flea. He looks like the All-American Boy. And guess what his nickname was? The All-American Boy. And he murdered a lot of women. So that's why I always tell people, like, I do kind of spend a lot of time, almost like I'm paranoid about it, because I just don't want it on my conscience. I don't want it on my conscience that her best friend comes over and discovers her dead and somehow finds out that I didn't talk to her about safety. Okay. So I think that's super important. And then I basically go through it and I give her the disclosure. Okay. And I'm going to end the training on something that goes right into that, and that is safety. So I hope you are using the forewarn, because I paid for that myself, and the bill last night was $14.92, and it wasn't $14. I want to pay that, and most brokers don't cover it, or they make you pay half. It's $120 per agent, so it's $10 a month, and I do have to pay it monthly. So I love it, and it's something that gives you some protection. So the way it works is you already have it. I do facial recognition on mine. It loads, and I could put anybody's phone number in here on it, and it would tell you publicly what is a recorded criminal activity. And that way I would know whether I'm showing somebody that could look to do me harm. And I know I've got agents in here that have taken screenshots of that and sent it to me and go, should I show this person? I'm like, no, because, it's something that's not just a ticket. On mine, it shows a ticket. You might have got a ticket, or you might have beat up somebody when you were, 15 or 18. Or you have to be over 18 for it to be on there. But obviously, if it was like, last month or last year, like 5 or 6 felony assaults, I mean, that should be a red flag. Life's too short. Don't show that person for the commission. And so that's what really the forewarn is for. I know some of y'all in here, we actually had an event last year. We went to a gun range. I mean, the only thing I remember out of the gun range is I've got like 20 guns from my front door to my study. And I mean, we leave our door unlocked just to tempt people. I don't have any safety. Yeah, I don't have safeties on my guns. It's like when I pick that gun up, it's being used, and I thinking about it. But it was amazing how many people went to the gun range with me and could not shoot a gun. I mean, they're loading, it's jamming. They're looking at me going, what do you think? And like they're pointing the gun at me. And, Kevin's military, and he knows, like, he always probably laughs when people shoot. I mean, even in Ozarks the other day, I mean, Ruth had a gun like this, and she went, yeah. And she went like this, and like her hand didn't move. And I mean, it's like a 9mm, and I was like, that's just like, I mean, it was just, I just thought about it. It made me go back to that gun range event. I'm like, oh my God, it's so crazy. So, I mean, veterans know that those movies are kind of BS. And he also knows that when he, served, that they had regular training on how to shoot and clean. And so it's not just enough to have a gun, because it can be turned as a weapon on you. Is that you, number one, use it as a last resort, because you're going to go in front of a grand jury no matter what. And a grand jury just depends on who your peers are. So your truly life has to be in jeopardy. And I would qualify this in jeopardy. You walk into a master first, and a buyer walks in behind you and locks the door and pulls out a knife that long and rope 4 times that long. I don't know about you, but that qualifies as my life's in danger, and I would empty a gun into somebody. But again, if somebody tries to do something else, I mean, you could try to flee, or at least turn the corner to where you're protected and say, hey, I have a gun, you need to leave, or it's going to get bad. But again, I'm not recommending you go buy a gun. What I'm recommending is that if you do, you learn how to use it. And I think also that Kevin and other people that have handgun experience would argue like that the closer you get to somebody, the more likely it's going to be used against you. And so, the little taser cameras that, like, it's a camera, but it's a taser. I mean, when you get close enough to Nathan, I mean, he's a big guy, he could make that go away or turn it on you. So, the wasp spray that shoots like 50 feet, you're obviously not going to carry a can of wasp, but they have, mace like that. I don't know if you've ever been maced. Have you with the military?
No.
I've been in a crowd that accidentally somebody.
Oh, yeah,
pepper
it's
sprayed.
brutal.
It's insane.
And so just know that when you spray that, it's going to come back on you also. And we sprayed somebody once that was hiding up in an attic, and I was the fireman that came to help him after the police sprayed it and then closed the drop down. And I mean, I was bawling, he was bawling. I mean, we're throwing water in our eyes, and I mean, you weren't even near it. So know that there are some things that you use as a defense mechanism that could make, you in trouble. But other than that, and this is Dustin Ray, I've been talking about you. So I do like to brag on people that, in my opinion, and again, I brag on all y'all, but my point is that when I see a story that's very much like, not mine, but where I know that, like, you made a big decision in life, leaving a big job because you got hooked on a drug, when somebody looked at you and said, I want you to help me buy this home. And then 3 weeks after he got licensed, he had his first sale, and he was like, that's enough, man. I want to do this. And when I look at all the things he posts in the business that he and both Dave are doing, I mean, Dave is a singer and has a lot of passion, but I know that Dave likes to sing. And in order for him to do that passion, he busts his ass to be able to, it just makes me proud. So I wanted to go know. Anyway, this is a book that I just found. It's called Your Next 5 Moves. Anybody ever heard of it? All right, anyways, I'm going to read this real quick and training's over, but it just says, who do you want to be? And it says, I believe that having questions is better than having answers because it leads to more learning. After all, isn't the point of learning to help you get what you want? Don't you have to start with you, what you want, and figure out what you have to learn in order to get it? And it just talks about like Gordon Gekko back when he was saying like making 400,000 a year and being comfortable sounds like a dream. Some say nothing at all, because he also said that's really not the dream. The dream is to be able to be liquid, so much so that nobody tells you what to do. And because I know a lot of people that make 400 grand a year, and at the end of the year, they don't got 2 pennies to rub together. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the point was that, and actually I talked to Dustin about maybe in another month and a half for when he's comfortable I want different agents to bring their values from where they came from. And he's a businessman where he could talk about, hey, this is how you set up your life to be able to not have to do this, the rest of it. It's like a stepping stone in a journey to really getting what you want. And so that comes with business decisions like, hey, do I invest in a lead program that I might have to pay $500 to $1,000 a month, but I'm in a company with no splits. And if I was at Monument and sold a $500,000 house and I made $15,000 and 30% went to Monument, that's $4,500. I'm not paying Doug. I'm only paying $225. So every other sale, let me act like Doug did have a split, and let me use that split and reinvest it in my own business. And then what happens is not only do we have realtor.com leads that are free on the front end, but you pay on the back end, but now you're buying into another lead program where you might get leads on the front end and not have any splits on the back end. Hey, should I be doing open houses out the wazoo? Because I do know an agent in another company that used to be with me that did an open house 2 years ago during COVID every day in March. And after March, on April 1 to the end of December, had 8 closings that were a direct result of the people he met in March. Now, he was y'all's age, so he was single, really with like, not the commitment of family and things like that. And I'd argue that that's why he did it, because he didn't have the family connections on how to get business, So any of y'all that have passions, I've always said, like, you got to, really exploit your passion. Soccer, baseball, if you have family in different continents, and their business, they want to invest here, that you take control of that. If you speak different languages, that's like a no-brainer. We got all kinds of people immigrating here, or whatever it's called, coming back to DFW because of all these lockdowns that are going on. And it's just going to get weird. When this decision comes down to the Supreme Court and people start picketing everywhere, and I don't care what you believe, but people are going to start moving here, because here you ain't picketing on my street, and most people in Texas are like, take that crazy shit somewhere else, but not to DFW. We're about making money in business and creating dreams for our families. And again, whatever you believe, it's fine, but don't put it on your car stickers and don't be putting signs about politicians in your front yard if you want to be a successful realtor, because no one cares about that. I don't even want to watch the news right now. Stock market's been down. Every news article is like, oh my God, the end of the world's coming. Women are going to be, dying. You're killing people. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I just choose not to really want to watch any of it and just concentrate on what I could affect here locally. And that is trying to help you guys, help my family, and try to go to bed at night knowing I've done the best I can. So anyways, that's kind of the training. And did you have a question?
Oh,
Okay. So, what I like to do, training is basically over, and we try to do as fast as we can. But other than introducing everybody, which I'm not going to do it because it can be a little time consuming. I appreciate everybody coming here as visitors. You're always welcome to come until you pick another broker. And then I would just think it would be respectful that you'd want to go to their training. Even though I've had 3 agents in the last 2 months say, hey, I know I'm with this broker. Can I still come to your training? And I was like, what? And they're like trying to hit up agents that are in my inner circle saying, hey, they'd really like to come back. And I'm like, it's the way they left. The door's just not open again. And again, maybe that's why you do give notice. And I told him to give notice to if he decides to move, which that's complete. And let me stop recording so nobody hears it. But